So a lot of people already believe that the government may have been involved in the assassination plot of John F. Kennedy. But for those of you who don't believe this, or just don't know the specifics of the case, I'm gonna learn ya. The official story is that on November 22nd, 1963, JFK was assassinated in Dallas, Texas by Lee Harvey Oswald, who was perched at the depository building and was acting alone. He fired 3 shots, the first one missing, the second hit Kennedy in the neck as well as Governor Connally, and the third bullet was the fatal shot to the head. Oswald was then killed by a man named Jack Ruby 2 days later, before having a chance to share his side of the story. Convenient. So there's a whole plethora of things to delve into with this theory. First, I'll address the technical issues with why people are skeptical of the official report. The big one being what is known as the magic bullet theory. This theory was one pushed by the Warren Commission, which was in charge of investigating the Kennedy assassination. Based on the wounds, they claimed that the second bullet went through the back of Kennedy's neck, then down through the right side of Connally's back, came out of his chest into his right wrist, and then stopped in his left thigh. Now, this is quite a stretch for 2 reasons. 1, just the simple trajectory of the bullet, and 2, the fact that the bullet was still fully intact. Are you kidding me? And based on research of the only remaining footage from the assassination, it was just simply impossible for Oswald to have fired those 2 bullets that hit Connally and Kennedy in the amount of time that the injuries occurred. Navy SEALs have even attempted to recreate the scenario with no success. Connally was even quoted saying, "There is my absolute knowledge, and Nellie's too, that one bullet caused the president's first wound, and that an entirely separate shot struck me." There are also a lot of eyewitness accounts that debunk the idea that Oswald was acting alone. 2 Dallas motorcycle patrolmen claimed they observed a bullet hole penetrating the windshield of the limousine. They were quoted saying, "There was a hole in the left front windshield. You could put a pencil through it." The other continuing, "I was right beside it. I could have touched it. It was a bullet hole. You could tell what it was." And within the newly released JFK files, there are documents stating that the Surgeon General's report on the assassination stated the first bullet entered the president's throat below the Adam's apple, clearly showing that 2 persons were involved, with the first shot being fired from the bridge across the parkway in front of the car, and claimed again that there was a bullet hole in the windshield. Another spectator on the scene claimed a stray bullet hit the ground near him and ricocheted into his cheek. The commission ruled that the mark on the sidewalk was likely from a bullet. And the spectator claims the bullet that hit the ground was actually the second shot, not the first, which would imply that there were more than 3 shots fired, despite only 3 cartridges being found in the depository building. There is also audio evidence that has been analyzed showing 6 possible points where gunfire was heard. A second video recording of the assassination was also confiscated by the government for evidence. Allegedly, this tape showed possible evidence of a second shooter, but the tape went missing and hasn't been seen in decades. In fact, the last time it was seen was by a separate investigation committee, and that committee was created because it was confirmed that the CIA had withheld information from the Warren Commission's investigation. And it might be worth noting that former head of the CIA, Alan Dulles, was an investigator in the Warren Commission. In fact, after the second committee's investigation, they concluded that, on the basis of evidence available to us, that President John F. Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy. So assuming this was a conspiracy, why would they want Kennedy assassinated? Many suspect that Lyndon B. Johnson was unsatisfied with his position as vice president and was looking for a power grab. In fact, LBJ was the one who suggested Kennedy go to Dallas in the first place, which the president did despite concerns from Texas lawyer Byron Skelton that the political climate was just too unsafe, and he feared for JFK's life. A woman named Madeline Brown, who had an affair with LBJ, even claims he told her the night before that after tomorrow, those Kennedys will never embarrass me again. That's not a threat. That's a promise. But of course, assuming Lyndon B. Johnson had anything to do with his assassination, he certainly wasn't the only one. It's my belief that the CIA was leading his assassination plot. Kennedy had a rough relationship with the CIA. He much preferred diplomacy over their military approaches to conflict. He had already replaced many of the personnel within the CIA, which was surely upsetting to them, and there were rumors that he was looking to disband them altogether. But let's focus back on the actual day of his assassination. The motorcade route selected for Kennedy was anything but safe. There were many turns which forced them to slow down their vehicle, and literally tens of thousands of windows for a shooter to position theirself. This is literally the definition of sketch. If assassination was a stew, this was the perfect recipe. And many people don't know this, but Oswald was actually already under investigation before the assassination even occurred, and worked in the depository building, which was right along the motorcade path. But you know, That's not important information to relay to the president. More strangely, in photos and video of the shooting, there was someone seen who had become known as the Umbrella Man. Despite the fact that it wasn't raining, there was one man in the crowd holding an umbrella, and Oswald first fired just as the president's vehicle passed by that man. Now that could be a coincidence, but the umbrella was closed prior to and following the gunfire, only opening as the president was beside him, so many speculate that this man could have been signaling Oswald to take the shot. But you might be wondering, if the CIA carried out the hit, why even bother with Oswald in the first place? Well, why not, man? He's the perfect patsy! He had already tried to defect to the Soviet Union, so they could always claim he just hated Kennedy's administration, or if they wanted, try to pin it on the Russians. But not only that, then you've got one single suspect the world is looking to for answers, one that you can put a bullet in just before he has a chance to answer any of them. Convenient.